That's not a bomb, Mommy. It's a drop tank. Andrea didn't know what a drop tank was. Bruce later told her it was an extra gas tank carried by airplanes traveling long distances. Neither one could explain how James, who could barely talk, had ever heard of anything remotely like a drop tank. James was the Leiningers' only child, and they adored him. At the time, Bruce had just begun working for Oilfield Services Corporation of America, and Andrea was a full-time mom. Bruce was raised a Methodist, going to church every Sunday throughout his childhood, and he found comfort and safety there. As he matured, he became part of the evangelical Christian movement and met with the Full Gospel Businessmen's Fellowship bi-weekly for Bible study and discussion. He considered himself to be a developed Christian on a continuous path of spiritual growth. But in short time, Bruce felt all of that threatened by something that shook his faith and his very identity to its core. In May, a month after James turned 2, Bruce took him back to the Dallas Flight Museum, where he photographed the boy ecstatically mesmerized by a World War II aircraft. Since the last visit, Bruce and Andrea had watched their son become fascinated with toy airplanes, playing with nothing else. His obsession was not just with any toy planes, but with World War II airplanes in particular. He had an uncanny familiarity with them, a consuming attachment to them, and even knowledge about them that seemed to come from nowhere. And then the nightmares began. Actually, these were worse than your average nightmares. James was in terror, thrashing violently in a deep sleep while uncontrollable, blood-curdling screams issued from his crib. They plagued the family up to 5 times a week. The nightmares were so disturbing that Andrea took James to the pediatrician to find out if something was wrong with him. The doctor could offer nothing, and the repetitive dreams continued relentlessly, destroying the equanimity at home. Then, after a few months, a turning point came when one night words suddenly accompanied the raw screams. Andrea called for Bruce to come. As he describes it, "I stood in my son's doorway. James was lying on his back, kicking and clawing the covers in his crib like he was trying to break his way out of a coffin. He flung his head back and forth and screamed over and over, 'Airplane crash on fire! Little man can't get out!' James had just turned 2 and was beginning to learn to talk in sentences, yet his words seemed so unchildlike in their desperation. 'Airplane crash on fire! Little man can't get out!' My concern was to protect him, but I felt frightened and paralyzed. What was happening to my son?" The dreams and the same words repeated themselves over and over again for months more. Then James started to say the same words when awake. Once, when in the car while Andrea was dropping off Bruce at the airport for a business trip, James turned to his parents as his dad got out of the car. "Daddy's airplane crash! Big fire!" he told them. He crashed his toy airplanes with propellers headfirst onto the coffee table so many times that the propellers broke off, damaging the table. And at night it seemed like he was reliving something all too real. It made absolutely no sense to his troubled parents. One evening before bed, Andrea was reading Dr. Seuss to James. In a very relaxed state, James spontaneously started talking about the dream, and he reenacted the crash with his little body while fully awake. His mother, trembling, asked him who the little man was. James said, "Me." Bruce came to the room, asked him again, "Who is the little man?" And he repeated, "Me." Bruce describes the conversation. "Son, what happened to your plane?" James replied, "It crashed on fire." "Why did your airplane crash?" "It got shot." "Who shot your plane?" James cocked his head and looked at me like the answer was obvious. It seemed to strike him as so inane that he rolled his eyes. "The Japanese," he said with disdain, like an